Hey everyone, my name is Michael. I'm the Customer Success Lead at Xano. And today we'll be using Xano with Bravo Studio, a front-end tool that actually allows you to import your Figma design to be used as your application. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building a photo sharing application using both a template from Xano and a Figma file from Bravo Studio. So you can create this application similar to Instagram in about only 20 or 30 minutes. So this video is going to go through a few different parts. First, we're going to install that photo sharing template in Xano. We're going to edit one single endpoint on that template, and then we're going to jump over to Bravo Studio and import the Figma file template, then set up the Xano APIs in Bravo Studios to make that data connection between the back end and the front end. And lastly, we're going to bind those APIs to the design in Bravo Studio and then use Bravo Studio's mobile app called Bravo Vision to actually use the application we just created. So with that, let's get started. So today we're going to be going off this guide that Bravo Studio wrote on how to build this photo sharing application using Bravo Studio and Xano as a backend. And we'll make sure to link this guide up for you in the video description so you can access it and actually build this yourself. So I'm going to go and jump over to the Xano side and do the setup real quick. So we're going to create our workspace first, and I'm just going to call this photo sharing app with Bravo Studio. And I'll hit continue. And then on this page, where it says start with template, we just want to find this photo sharing social media platform template that we've already pre-built for you. Just go ahead and click that. It'll automatically install that and load that into your workspace. And we basically have the backend already built for this photo sharing app, which is kind of similar to something like Instagram. So let's jump over to the API now. And I'm going to jump into this API group here. So the next step is to edit the add photo endpoint. So in Xano, for this template, we actually separate the upload image and the add photo API endpoints. So we're going to make these basically one step. So if we jump into this add photo endpoint right here, if we click on this image endpoint here, we're actually going to just simply hide this from our inputs. And instead, we're going to add a text input, and we're going to call this image URL. And we're going to make this actually required here and say save. So Xano is super flexible. It takes image URLs, image files, and encoded base64 image files that you can upload for your application. So now that I have this image URL, I need to actually add a new function in here. We're going to go to content upload, and we're going to create the image metadata so that can actually be stored in our database. So the value here is just going to be that new input image URL. I'll call my variable image, let's say. I'll hit save. And then I just want to drag this above the add record to the photo table and then click into this function and just make sure that my image here is actually, my image field is actually mapped to that variable image, which is creating the image metadata, and simply hit save. So that's it for the Xano setup. So let's jump back to this guide and see what's next. You can see here's the first step. Set up Xano and then edit that API to add the photo so it works with Bravo Studio. And the next step is going to be to actually import our Figma file from Bravo Studio. So this article has that Figma file linked up right here. So if we simply just go to that right here, you can see what this design looks like. This one's called Foodgram with Xano, so once again a photo sharing app. So we can actually just grab the URL here. I'm going to copy that, and we'll jump over to Bravo Studio, which I have on a tab over here. And we can go ahead and connect our designs to start. So if we hit a new project here, I can simply just paste in that URL and hit create project, and it'll just take a couple seconds and it'll import that Figma document as my application front end. And now that our Figma file imported very nicely, you can see that we have these nice clean pages here in Bravo Studio for our application. And so let's go back to our guide now, and we'll see that this next step right here is to set up the APIs in Bravo Studio. So let me jump back to Bravo Studio. The first step here is to go to Data Library and then add a new collection and then click on Custom API. And we're just going to call this photo sharing with Xano, and then hit save, and that'll just create this new data collection. And here we can connect those APIs. So our first one here is actually going to be our sign up API, and this is actually going to be a post. And now to get the actual request URL, if we jump back to Xano here and we find this sign up API endpoint right here, and I just click this copy endpoint link, that'll just copy it to my clipboard, and I can come right back to Bravo Studio and simply paste this in. Now if we go back to our guide, we'll notice there are some things we also need to set up. Looks like we need parameters, email, password, and also this body. And I'm actually just going to copy this body so I can paste it in. And anytime you're working in Bravo Studio, and you'll see it throughout this tutorial, you'll see this $ and then these curly brackets with a value in between. And that just allows us to pass a dynamic value here in Bravo Studio. So let's go ahead and jump back here in the parameters. First we're going to have email, and I'll say something like test@email.com. And then we'll actually have a password, and I'll call this something like password just 123. So if I go to the body now and go to JSON right here, I'm just going to paste in that body that I copied. And we can go ahead and hit send, and we should get back this authentication token, meaning that we just created a user for the application. So let's go ahead and add the next endpoint here. And this is just going to be the login endpoint. And I just want to make sure to name all these endpoints because it'll help me when I'm binding the pages later. So let me go ahead and change this to a post. Once again, I'll come back to Xano here and I'll find that login endpoint. I'll copy the URL and I'll simply just paste that in here. So let's go back to the guide and see what else we need. So we're also going to need an email and password parameter. And additionally, we're going to need this body. And there's a few other instructions down here. So once we've inputted that, hit send. And then we need to check this received data right here, .auth token, and change the field name to auth-token so we can reference that in the other authenticated endpoints. So let's go ahead and jump back to Bravo Studio and do all that. So here in the parameters, I'm going to make sure to first do email, and we'll make sure that's the same email, test@email.com. In addition to that, we'll have a password here, and that'll just be password 123. And then we'll grab that body and we'll paste that back in here. Okay, now we're ready to send this. And once we do that, it'll be like this user just logged in. So let's check that data.auth token, go to selected data and change this name. Remember, to auth.token. And we don't want any misspellings because we'll be referencing that once again later on. So the next endpoint to set up will be that add photo endpoint that we edited just a little bit earlier in Xano, so it would work with Bravo Studio. So let's go ahead and add that. This one is going to be add photo. Remember to name these endpoints, it'll help later. This is going to be a post, and let's actually grab that in Xano. I'm just going to click on this photo here, and here's my add photo. Copy the endpoint link, and let's just paste this in here. So let's jump back to the guide here to make sure we have what we need. So here we're going to actually pass in some headers. Looks like authorization and then bearer. This is because this endpoint requires authorization, meaning a user has to be logged into our application to actually use this app or use this endpoint. So let's go ahead and jump back to Bravo Studio. In the header here, I'm going to write authorization, and then I'm just going to paste in that bearer auth token. Let me jump back to the guide here and also grab this body to just paste in. And we'll go jump to body, jump to JSON, and paste that in. And then we actually don't need to send this endpoint. So that's it for that add photo. Let's jump to the next one, which is going to be our get photo. And you'll notice here there's some more instructions. So let's go ahead and first do the get photo, and then we'll look at those instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and add this right here. This one's actually a get, so we don't need to change that verb there. And we'll just call this get photos here. And then jump back to Xano, and our get photos is in blue. So let me copy that endpoint link, come back to Bravo Studio, and I'll paste that in. So I know this one is actually going to require authorization, and let's make sure just to write in bearer here, $, curly brackets, auth token, and curly brackets. So let's see what else we need. So we got our header here. Looks like we also need our parameter, first to be the auth token, and then we actually need to pass in the value of that auth token. So let's do that step first, and then we'll get to this stuff down here. So we'll go to parameters. We're going to say auth token, and then the value here. Let's make sure the format again. It's just the auth token. So in Xano, we can really easily get that just by clicking into any authentication enabled endpoint. And then if we just go to run and debug here and hit this blue button here, we can go ahead and get my test@email.com that we've been using, and then hit this button, and that'll copy that whole auth token to my clipboard. So if we jump back here and I paste in the value, now I can go ahead and actually send this. And once I do, you can see all this data is coming back. So we actually need to check some of this data according to the guide. So we need to get items ID, caption, URL, handle. So items ID, caption, URL, and handle. So first let's go ahead and find, and this will just take me a second here. Well, there's URL, there's user handle, there's items ID, and lastly caption right there. So once we do that, let's go to selected data. So items ID, we're going to make this photo underscoring ID. And when I say it means to be consistent, we're just going to be referencing this in other endpoints, okay? So the next endpoint to set up is going to be adding a comment. So let's go ahead and get that set up. So I'm going to make sure to name this, just add comment. And this one's going to be a post. And let's jump to Xano and make sure to grab that. So I'm just going to go back here. And then add comment is going to be right here at the top. I'll simply copy that, come back to Bravo Studio, and paste that in. So I know the header on here is going to be authorization again, and then we're going to have bearer, and then that $, remember that dynamic value, and then auth token. So let's go back to the guide because I forget what else we need. So let's look at this add comment here. So here's the key for that authorization token. And then we have 3 parameters. So first the auth token, then comment, and then photo ID. Remember that value that we just changed in the selected data. And then we actually have that body. So auth token, comment, and photo ID. So let's go to parameters. So first is auth token, and I'll get that value in a second. And then we have the comment, and then we have the photo ID. So the comment, I'll just say this is a test, and the photo ID, we'll put in 1. And now let's grab the auth token on one of these endpoints. So I'll just jump into this add comment and simply hit this blue thing and get that test@email.com, that same auth token I've been using, and copy that, and then just paste that in to the value here. And lastly, we needed the body. So let me go ahead and just grab that. So it's just comment and photo ID here. So I'll simply copy and paste that in, and then let's go ahead and send that. And after that, we don't need to check any of or select any of that data. And the next one to do is going to be this get photo comments. Okay, so let's go ahead and set that up. So if I go ahead and hit plus here, and I'll say get photo comments, and this is going to be a get. But let's jump back to Xano and look at our endpoints here. And so this get photo comment is actually going to be this comments right here that says comments slash the photo ID. Okay, and because that photo ID is a query parameter right here in the URL, we're going to need to pass in that dynamic value, and I'll show you that in a second. So if we simply go ahead and paste this in, let's go back to our guide here and see where it says in the request URL this /$ photo ID. we actually need to go ahead and put that in here at the very end. So I copied that, but I could have just actually put a $ right there, and that would accomplish the same thing. So the header, once again, authorization, and it's important to spell these right, authorization, as I'm not doing. And then we'll have bearer, the $, curly brackets, and then that auth token again. So let's jump back to the guide. Let's just make sure we have everything correct. It looks like we also need this auth token and this photo ID. So let's make sure to set that up. So parameter here, auth token. I'll jump to Xano and grab that in a second. Also photo ID, the value will be 1. Let's grab this auth token again. You can jump into any endpoint. Doesn't matter which one. Just hit this run and debug and just simply find that same user we've been using for this whole setup. So I'll go ahead and paste that in. And now I'm ready to send this endpoint. And when I do so, we'll get the received data, and we just want to make sure to select items ID, the comment, remember that parameter we just passed in, and then the user handle. So that's all we need there. And if we go back to our guide here, those are all selected. And the next step is to actually bind these APIs to the design in Bravo so we can have a full functioning photo sharing application. So this is the fun part. We're actually going to make the data talk with our application. So let's go back to our projects and we'll find our imported design here. And we're first going to bind this sign up page. Okay, so we're just going to go in the same order. When we're selecting the collection, it's going to be that photo sharing with Xano, all those endpoints I just set up. And this is why it was important to name all those endpoints. So when we select the request, we know exactly what we're getting here. So here's the sign up one. And then let's make sure to read the other instructions here. So we want to select visual elements, click on username connected to email on the right side and content destination. Click on password and bind that to password on the right side. And then make sure to do the response action. So on success, go to the login page. On a failure, make sure there's an alert showing. So let's go ahead and select our visual elements here. So if I simply go ahead and click on this frame here, and we can go ahead and first find our username just right here in the middle. And then if we go to content destination, make sure this is email. We'll select password and simply hit password here. And now on success, we're going to go to a page. So once they sign up, then we're going to actually make them log in. And then on an error, we're going to show alert. And we'll just say something like sign up failed. So the next page is going to be login, which is going to be very similar to sign up. So let's jump to login here. We'll select the photo sharing application. We'll do login here. And then we'll go ahead into our visual elements here. We'll bind the username to email. And the password is going to be to password. And then this time on success, we're going to go to the home screen. And then on error, we'll show an alert and we'll just say something like login failed. So let's go back, and the next one is going to be our home screen, which is here on the left side. And we'll make sure to get the photo sharing with Xano. And this one's going to be, we want the get photos, so all photos here. And let's jump back to the guide real quick. So that was sign up, login, and now home screen. So we want to actually go ahead. We did the get all photos. Click on the post list elements and connect it to items. Then username with handle, image with URL, and caption with caption there. So let's go ahead and find that post list here. Let's actually click on the list and bind that to items here. And then the username, we'll have the user handle right there. We'll go ahead and make sure that the image has the image URL. And then the caption here is just going to be the item's caption. And let's make sure we got the handle, URL, and caption. So next is going to be the post screen, new post screen, and that's going to be with the add photo. So let's go ahead and jump to Bravo Studio again, and we'll go down over to this new post screen. And so the collection, photo sharing with Xano, and then we'll make sure to do an add photo here, if you will. And let's go ahead and open up the frame. And let me jump back real quick and see we want the image upload with the URL, and then caption and caption, and then we'll have a response go to the home screen, otherwise an alert. So let's go ahead. Image upload is going to be this in the content destination. We'll have image URL. The caption is just simply going to be the caption. On success, we're going to go to a page and it'll be the home screen. And then on a fail, we'll just say something like upload failed. So let's jump back real quick. And next is going to be the comment screen. And that's going to have the get comments. So the comment screen is going to actually be up here. So once in this comments page, we'll make sure the collection is set up. The request is get photo comments. We'll go ahead and select on comment list. We'll bind that to items. And then the username, we'll make sure to bind that to the user handle. And the caption will be the items comment right there. So let's go back. The very last page is this new comment page. Once again, just make sure the collection's photo sharing app. Request this time is going to be add comment. If we go ahead and select the frame, we just need to bind the comment here to comment right there in the content destination. On success, we'll make sure to go to the comments page, and on the fail, on error, we'll say show alert, comment failed. So that's it for binding all our pages. We'll notice if we come back here, the next step is testing. So if you don't already have Bravo Vision on your phone, you can really easily get that just by scanning the QR code by hitting this preview the app on your phone, and you can get the QR code and it'll pull that right up on your phone. And I have Bravo Vision open here on my phone, so I'll click in. We're taken to the login page, but let's go to sign up. Let's go through the whole flow as if we're signing up a new user. So I'll just say this is something like, we'll go ahead and say Michael at new.com, and I'll make sure to have a password here, and I'll hit sign up. And then I'll go ahead and use those same credentials here. So I'll just type in Michael at new.com, and then I'll hit login. The password is not showing, but let's go ahead and see. Here's a photo I already uploaded, but you can see we have some pre-populated data here. We can upload a new photo and hit choose photo, and I'll open from my gallery. And I'll go ahead and grab this photo from Mexico of a petrified waterfall. And once that's uploaded, I'll give it a caption. I'll just say caption, and I'll hit upload. And we can see that gets uploaded, and we're taken back to the home screen. There's our caption. I can add a comment by clicking add and just say something like, hey there, and I'll post that. We'll be taken back to the comment page. We'll see my comment, and there you have it. So, very quickly in something like 25 minutes, we built this photo sharing application, something similar to an app out there like Instagram. And it just really shows the power of combining no-code tools in a backend like Xano and a front end such as Bravo Studio to really make your ideas come to life in a very fast amount of time. We obviously make it easy for you with these backend templates and also the Figma file that Bravo Studio provides you. But I hope you found this video interesting. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next one.